Hey, what's up, everybody? Cody Broderick here with Hero. Just joining us on another episode of the Hero Journey podcast. Grateful to have you. Get you up to speed real quick. We are approaching 1 year in business. We're 10 months right now. It's really exciting. We have a little over 50 people. We're in 4 markets right now. We're trying to push to 8 or 10. We're rebranding our company from Hero Windows to Hero Home. So now we're offering roofing, siding, windows, doors, and solar. So we started as Hero Windows, but boom, we're expanding. Really exciting. So a lot of opportunity for us. Our aim is 50 offices in under 5 years. But the main reason why we exist, like the purpose of the company, the why we're here today, is to create heroes who transform themselves to transform the world. That's the mission at Hero, is to create heroes who transform themselves to transform the world. And to create a hero and help people become hero in their life is not an easy act. It's intentional, and all heroes fall. We have to rise, and there's a lot of learning in that. So our guest today is absolutely a hero, amazing human being, friend of mine, local leader. We actually were in Spain running with the bulls recently. Giant of a man, husband, father, Kjar, international speaker, athlete, most definitely an athlete, well-known wrestler in the world, actually, and also real estate developer, great real estate portfolio. There's so much value Ben can add to the lives of our listeners and whoever's listening out there. We're going to take a deep dive into just talking about what we wish we knew when we were 20, what we wish we knew when we were younger, and the lessons we've learned. So, Ben, it's so good to have you, man.
Cody,
thank you for coming on.
You're the man. I appreciate this, for real. I've had the opportunity to speak. For those of you guys who are listening, I've had the opportunity to speak with Cody, with your company, and they're just stellar humans. We were there just here locally, but we had some people kind of zoom in, right? And I'll never forget, one of them just broke down in tears after, as he talked about just his life. And I just loved how present they were, how real they were, just how relevant and connected they were. And I mean, that vulnerability in men nowadays is rare, right?
Yeah, it is. And us being part of We Are the They, a lot of us, and many in our group, if I really had to learn that, to have the courage to be vulnerable and to create that safe space. And we're really blessed because we have that at Hero. Sharing from the heart is something that we want to make people feel safe to do, and feel vulnerable and safe, and know that we care first. And then, of course, we focus on, leading with love and compassion and showing people that we care, but we absolutely want to help them live better. So we push them for professional accomplishment. We push them to be intentional about their goals and their timelines and what they're doing. So it can be uncomfortable, but in a really healthy way. We're shining lights on things they need to talk about or expose, and we're shining lights on these ways they can be challenged to grow professionally. So it's fun.
I love that. In under a year, 50 people. That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
4 markets.
Yeah.
Super
cool. It's awesome. It's really cool. And to have the honor to help our customers improve their life, help them cut their energy bills down, improve equity in their home, and for us to be able to build trust with them, get to know them, let them know that you're part of a company that is truly backed by people that are changing lives and changing the world, and that we're honored to be able to serve you and help you with anything exterior, really. Roofing, siding, windows, doors, solar. It's really exciting, and that has been magnetic, so it allows us to pull in awesome talent where people are like, oh my gosh, I want to build with you guys. So huge blessing to be surrounded by great people.
I love it. I see a lot of companies, and I talk in companies where it's a rotating door.
Yeah.
Because it's a product based. instead of a lifestyle-based commitment, right?
Yeah.
Where the human comes second in many cases.
Yeah.
And I love that focus, man. I remember a mentor told me when I was coaching wrestling for a number of years, I used to own a gym, and we had all these wrestlers come in, and he said, always remember that wrestling is the illusion. And it caught me off guard. I'm like, what do you mean wrestling is an illusion? I grew up, wrestling was everything to me, right? And he said, the kids or the people who you're teaching and coaching, they're going to think they're coming for wrestling. Technique, physical workout, push-ups, drills, all that stuff. And the moment that that's your first priority is the moment that you really don't know what you're doing. You don't, in other words, you don't know the big vision. I'm like, okay, explain to me. I was too naive. And he said, you're building incredible humans. You're building incredible men, incredible women, period. Yeah. And they actually just think it's wrestling. And as Hero is doing that and becomes it even more and more, that windows and roof and solar is really the illusion.
Exactly. It's just a vehicle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people feel that and they see that. And the product's secondary, but they show up and they can't leave, because if they leave, they just don't show up as good for their wife, their husband, their kids. That's a pretty special thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well said. I love that. And Reese, our guy over here to the right, is the one that gets to tell those stories. So he's the storyteller. He gets to document it and show actually how people inside of the company are transforming, and let them tell their stories of what it's been like at the company and how they've grown, and you know, and then it's my job and the other more senior leaders to let them know that it never stops. It's like rinse and repeat. You know, because like think of who we were 2 years ago or 5 years ago. You're like, oh my gosh, if I had known then what I know now, the same thing will happen. 2, 3, 5 more years. But it's so important to seek that out and to be curious about wanting to know more about yourself and try to learn and be more intentional with how you can show up better in your life. So that's definitely why we exist. It's the core of Hero. It's the purpose, to create heroes who transform themselves so they can go transform the world. So on that note,
I love
you're
that.
definitely one of my heroes.
Thanks, brother.
Your story is amazing, man. Tell us, maybe just, for people that don't know you, just a brief intro, and then I'd love for you to tell us a story maybe about something, one of the hardest things that you've ever had to overcome.
Wow. That's a good question. A little background about me. People are going to be able to watch this too, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not watching this, if you're listening to it, I'll give you a little bit of a example and brief definition of who I am and what some of my trials have been. If you're watching it, it'll be easier to see. But I was born with something called Crouzon syndrome. It's a craniofacial anomaly. In English, it just basically means that my face grew different. The middle part of my face grew at a different speed than the rest of my face. I had a trach in my throat, helping me to function. They'd cut my head open numerous times throughout my life. There'd be 12, 14-hour surgeries. I'd be coming out. They would sew me up. I'd be all, swollen up. My eyes would be swollen. They'd wire my mouth shut for, weeks at a time, right? I'd be on a liquid diet. And thinking that would be the hardest thing was not true. It would be not the physical healing, but it would be the mental stuff after.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing that you say that I've had to go through is healing the mental side and preparing that. and understanding that it's super easy to check off the box of going to the gym physically and doing the reps, and thinking that that's going to check off the reps or the box of my mental exercises when it doesn't always.
Yeah.
Now, is that helpful, and is it a mental prep, and does it make me mentally stronger? Yeah, it usually does, right? When I push myself and they're telling me, do 10 reps, and I don't do 10 reps. You push yourself to do 11, because I always say be disobedient to average. And as you be disobedient to average, then you become disobedient to normal. Well, what was one of the hardest things for me? To put it in a very simple way, I wanted to be normal.
Yeah.
I wanted to fit in because everything about me wasn't that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be normal, and thinking that wanting to be normal was the answer to what I needed in life was the epitome of just disgusting.
Yeah.
Because today my pet peeve is normal, average, ordinary.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah, absolutely.
But at some point in my life, when we talked about the power right before the mics went on, we talked about the power of the age of young adults coming into leaving the home, leaving the nest, and living.
Yeah.
Right? Your wings are being clipped. All of a sudden, you start flexing your wings. You're like, whoa, what can I do? And I'm here to tell you that everything about Hero, everything about abnormal, everything about sticking out, standing out, is just absolutely what's needed.
Yeah. Well said. I totally agree with that. And what took you so long to finally figure that out? Like, I'm special. I am blessed. I am unique. I'm beautiful. I'm gifted. And to learn those gifts. But I can't imagine how hard it would be to go through those surgeries and recover multiple times, and probably deal with, society and criticism and challenges that way, and then just the emotional side of all of that to work through all of it. Man, my heart goes out to you, and that's definitely a hero transformation.
Yeah.
And what else do you think you could share for anyone that watches or listens that might be in a really hard spot, that maybe feel similar to that, or they struggle that way about what they could do to maybe feel a little bit different or think a little bit different about themselves?
Yeah. No, I love that. And I appreciate you saying, like, your heart goes out to me. It means that you care. I am so glad it happened, though.
Yeah. Blessing for sure. Yeah.
It was it's been the biggest gift. Like, literally, it's been the biggest gift. But that's completely changed to where I was like, why me? Yeah. Why me? God, come on. Like, what's going on? Yeah. Person to my left, person to my right. The Crouzon syndrome is super rare. Like, let's go. What's going on?
Right.
Wanting at one point to want to, cut my face off.
Yeah.
After some situations happened in public. And I was like, I'm done with this. But to realize that in those moments right after, my mom said, Ben, you're different. You're born different. Go make a difference. You're going to get the attention, so you might as well use the attention to stand out.
Yeah.
And own it. And what it was my parents allowing me to find something that gave me confidence. So if you're out there right now and you're just graduating high school, or you're getting close to high school, if you're going into college, you're going on your own, and you're going to get your own apartment or house or whatever, I would highly, highly, highly recommend, if you haven't found it yet, find something that gives you confidence. That could be as simple as, like, poetry.
That's a great tip.
It could be as simple as, it could literally be as simple as yoga.
Yeah, yoga.
Right? I mean, we have a friend, Matt Beret, our buddy from Tucson, Arizona. His wife and our other buddy's wife, Michael McHenry, they're going to be doing something called Riot Tonight, which is basically dance exercise, right?
Yeah.
And that's what allows them to feel fulfilled. That's what allows them to feel poured into.
Yeah.
Now, I'll never forget Jimmy Rex, who does We Are the They, which is how we met.
Yeah.
He allows us to do these morning walks.
Yep. Yeah.
There's a book called Good to Great, which is a fantastic
Jim Collins,
book.
love it.
Oh.
We literally just finished it in our leadership group.
Oh, powerful.
Just literally
right?
talked about the flywheel and the dome loop. Just finished it. Momentum.
So good, right?
Yeah, it's good.
And there's a part in it that popped out to me, and how I understood it was this: find as quick as you can in your life something that you're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, and this is like, I call this the diaper challenge. Like, if you're not peeing your pants in your diaper when you say this, something ain't right. Find something that you can be the best in the world at. And that's why I wrap my man diaper on and start peeing my pants. Right? When I first heard that, I'm like, whoo. What are you passionate about? What can you be the best in the world at? And then lastly, once you figure those two things out, you'll be paid out handsomely to do that full time.
Yeah.
Now, when we are able to figure out something to do full time and you're actually passionate about it, then you have it full go.
Yeah.
You have it full go, sleep, wake time, every second of your 24 hours, you can psychotically look at that so detail, like down to just the nitty gritty, layer after layer after layer.
Over it.
Oh my gosh, so many times in my life, I've been the yes man, and I've been halfway decent at a lot of things. So when I say yes, I get into this thing and I become okay at it.
Yeah.
And then I do it again and again and again and again. And that's what it talks a lot about in that book too. Don't be the freaking sly fox. Don't be the guy that's like this and that, and that's agile and mobile and versatile. Be the hedgehog. Be the slow and consistent person that just goes after it again and again and again. So here's what I would say. If you're coming out and you're coming to be an adult right now and you're figuring out what you want to do, figure out something that makes you feel alive. And then figure out how you can be the best in the world at it. Going back to Jimmy, we walked in the morning, they're walking around this park.
Yeah.
And I remember asking Jimmy, about this book, and we were just like dialing it in. And he's like, yeah, that's what We Are the They is. I feel, and it was like a self-declaration moment. It was really cool for him to say this. I feel that I can be the best in the world at making men become friends. That was rad. And that was a very clear definition of what We Are the They is. I mean, you and I, how can you not be buddies when you're like running around away from bulls together, right? Yeah, dressed in white and red and be like, oh my gosh. And just have all these experiences around the world and to become a better human. So in life, as I started reading that book and I looked at myself, I'm like, okay, holy cow. And I was flipping houses at the time. And I thought I was pretty good because I had gotten up to about 40 houses at the same time flipping, which is psychotic. I don't recommend that to anybody. And I thought, I could be the best in the world at that. I'm like, no, I'm absolutely not the best in the world at that. There's so many missing pieces happening. I was doing too many, right? And then I started finding a niche. I'm like, but okay, maybe I'm not the best in the world at just that, if I just call that one thing. But what if I include something I'm passionate about? So if you're out there, this is one of the most important things. If you're out there and you're in a business that you're like, I like it, but there's part of me that doesn't feel alive, how can you include your passion into it? This is where the hybrid of magic happens.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what you're doing at Hero.
Yeah.
This is exactly what you're doing at Hero. You're doing something that I absolutely love. I think it's something that we're born for. It's creation.
Yeah.
You're taking a home from the outside in, and you're giving that curb appeal, you're creating it, or you're rehabbing it, or you're making something that it always should have been. And there's so much fulfillment in that.
Yeah.
And that's what I do in rehabbing. But I also believe that I don't just transform houses, but I transform humans.
Yeah.
Right? I also believe that I beautify properties. I also beautify people. So what I've done...
They're connected there.
Yeah.
Really good.
What I've done is I've been able to take...
Those are nuggets, Reese.
right
social
there,
drops
baby.
right there. You take those notes down.
It's how you tell the story, my man.
People and houses.
We call this a story war. Because what you're doing about with Hero is the same. McDonald's does it the best. Dude, literally the other day, I took my daughter to McDonald's. She wanted a Happy Meal for her 5th birthday. I left, and my stomach was sick, dude. I make better cheeseburgers in these places. I felt like I was like, oh my gosh. But yet they sell millions and millions of dollars worth every day. They have told the story of happiness, of Happy Meal. They've told the story of consistency. They've told the story of when you get in that line, you know exactly what you're going to get coming out. And I was able to go into something that I feel passionate about, flipping, knowing that I wasn't the best in the world, but then mixing it to create what I feel that I can be the best in the world at. And that is impacting people at the same time. So I call it flip for a face. So flip for a face is when I flip a home and I take the proceeds and I donate that to a kid who needs a reconstructive facial surgery.
Oh.
And there's a
awesome,
lot of people, man. There's a lot of people around the world that are bullied, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people like me, and I was lucky. My dad made some decent money. And if I wouldn't have had those surgeries, and if I wouldn't have been able to eat, if I wouldn't have been able to breathe, if I wouldn't have been able to look the way I looked and change through my life and breathe and just function and have my skull grow with my brain, there would have been some massive mental issues there.
Wow. Yeah.
Then my life would have been different. And that's just even talking about the physical part with the surgeries, the mental part behind it. I wondered many times in my life if I could be loved.
Wow.
My biggest fear was wanting to know that would I outlove my wife? Would I outlove my wife because of doubts or insecurities that she may have, maybe that was related to Crouzon syndrome, maybe that would be related to anything else around that. And so what we've done is, we've done that, and we've had a bunch of different projects. We were just on the news a couple months ago, and we've talked with a bunch of different headhunters for TV. 2018, we turned down a deal with Discovery Channel just as it didn't feel right. I'm not the yes man anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm more intentional with what gets to be said and what gets to happen. So listeners, to make this more clear, if you're doing something right now that you're passionate about, but you feel like you're not the best in the world at, like I felt. I was flipping houses, but man, I wasn't the best designer. I wasn't the best drywall guy. I'm not a great handyman, frankly. But you can figure out a way to mix it with something that you also hold a passion for. You create a hybrid of magic. And so with Flip for a Face, yeah, there are kids or people with craniofacial syndromes that maybe flip houses. Not like me. There are people that have craniofacial differences. They don't flip houses like me. They don't have the story that I have. And so we've mixed something together that allows me space for some type of a competitive advantage. And as you create that competitive advantage, much like you have, how many window companies and roof companies and solar companies are there out there? So many.
Yeah,
what you've done, Cody, is you've created a match of a hybrid, and you've actually named it pretty freaking cool too. A hero home. And that makes so much more sense than hero windows. You've created a hero inside every single home that you have the opportunity to touch. And just the name, Hero Home, man, you wouldn't even know what that was, because it holds so much within that. There's so much magic you can flex with, right? And did I just appreciate you? I applaud you for, there's so many things you could have done. There's so many big money grabs you could have done, right? And that were easy without building something, without recreating something, that renaming it. And so I applaud you for doing that. I think it's pretty dang cool.
Thank you, man. And thank you for the kind words and the wisdom. I love all of that. You said so many amazing things that I want to circle back on, and I'll comment just to what you said most recently. My wife and I, when I was talking about what to do next, you're talking about what this will take, like how many hours I'll have to sacrifice to do this. And we don't have to do this, I exited a tech company after 12 years. And then we were both like, well, if we can change one life, just one, it's worth it. And to have my wife on board, like 150%. And Reese knows, like, she's on the call, she's on the leadership meeting, she's at the leadership retreat, she's in our company meetings, she's invested. And we poured out 30% of the ownership in an LTIP model that we give it back to everybody, because I told everyone, we're building this business to prepare it for exit, and you will be part of the liquidity event. And there's a timeline for it, and I'll work relentlessly to do it. It's kind of funny when you talk, like, I'm not the best drywall guy. I'm not the best. I know nothing about roofs or siding. I don't know much about windows. I actually don't know anything about solar or doors, but I know what I'm incredibly passionate about, and I know how I brought it together into Hero to create massive impact and difference. So there is no other company like us in the space, and so it is disruptive and beautiful, but it starts with why. It starts with why we exist, and that's our recruiting part. Is, look, if you sit down with a company, actually, this is a good tip for your young adult. You're like, man, I'm interviewing all over the place. What should I do? Where should I go? Sit down and ask them, why does the company exist? What is the purpose of this company? And see what they say. 99 out of 100 won't be able to answer that. But they will be able to tell you over and over again, this is what we do, and this is how we do it. This is what we do and how we do it. And we want to maximize shareholder return, But they won't be able to really tell you distinctly why the company exists. What's the purpose? What's the capitalism for a cause? So I love what you do on your flips. There's a cause. I'm putting all this in for a deeper cause that creates massive impact. And so at Hero, we want to create a hero that transforms themselves, because the thing that like stokes my flame, that like gets me emotional, is like, what about your grandchild? We're not affecting your kids right now. Like we're helping Reese's grandkids. We're stopping generational trauma. We're opening up gates of communication and love and wellness, so people can improve, their quality of life, their well-being, and it will help their family down the line. They'll be equipped with the tools, the resources, the coaching, the templates, the mentors, and the network to know how to do it. And that's what, for me, when I was young, all right, we just have to figure this all out. High school was a joke. I didn't learn anything in high school,
Yeah.
And then to go and try to learn finance and budgeting and like building credit. after I screwed it up and like, what? And then, you know, struggling with addictions and then like, no one taught me about relationships. What do you know about girls? Like what I learned from my dad, is that the best thing? Well, some things, but maybe not everything. What about communication? I wish someone would have given me the book, Crucial Conversations. Like, read that. Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Read these books and you're like, oh my gosh. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Hero, we just want to introduce those things. Lead the horse to water. You can't force them. We're not going to force anybody. But we will tell the stories of the people that are going to step up. And that's what Reese gets to do. And that's why the podcast actually exists. We don't hammer out tons of them, but we like to be intentional with who we bring in and talk about those transformations and what, you know, what you've gone through in life or what our guests have gone through. And that's why, you know, it resonates. Picked you to come speak at the company for a purpose and to follow up with this too. So I love going a little bit deeper because I love Good to Great. I love Jim Collins. We just literally finished that book. Our leadership group reads a book about every 3 months or so. And, it's just like we're peeling the layers back even more with the onion and we find so many other similarities. So it's awesome.
I love that. I think you were just talking about school. I remember being in math class and it was, do you have time? What time do you got?
We're good. It's 3:45.
Do you guys go till what time?
A little after 4.
A little after 4.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we're okay.
I remember being in math class and doing like long division. I'm like, what the freak is this? And I cheated my whole way through it.
Without ChatGPT.
Without ChatGPT. And then later on, getting like my TI-87 calculator, I'm like, what is this? Math never meant anything to me. Yeah. And so like I cheat, copy my buddy's paper, hand it in.
Yeah, just go through the motions. Yeah.
And my wife is super smart. She's she's incredible when it comes to just like studying and research. And she always makes fun of me because I cheated on my long division. I said, fine, I'm tired of this. Tell me the last time you did long division. She's like, I've never have. And I'm like, I got so bored in high school because the meaning was left, right? And so what I think is missing in the world is teachings of that completely be incorporated. My dad always told me, my dad was an attorney. And I would make fun of my dad because he'd get so mad at me when I didn't do well in school. Not so much because of my effort. He was upset if I didn't put effort towards my academics, which 100% agree with.
Yeah.
But I made fun of him because I heard he got C's his last year, and he barely passed BYU Law. And he laughed. He's like, yeah, well, guess who walked across and got the diploma in early 1990s or 1980s whenever he graduated, making $350,000 that year. He's like, I did. He's like, that's what you call implementation. What my dad learned very, very well is he learned how to take the teachings, whatever he could use that made sense to him, and he implemented it.
That's everything.
It's everything. And that's what I kind of learned at a young age. But I just cheated my way through the part that I didn't think that would be implementable for me.
Yeah.
Here's the most important thing. Education is so important. Unfortunately, through school, you don't have a whole lot of choice with how you can learn or what you can learn. But you can have 100% choice the moment that bell goes off and you exit that school. You have 100% choice the moment you graduate and you choose what to do. You have 100% choice with what my dad told me. He said my car was my college on wheels. You have 100% choice with what you learn. You will see a difference. I graduated in 2002. I'm about almost 22 years out of high school. What I've seen 100% as I go back to these reunions, what I see 110% as I go and connect with these individuals is what has happened since. And that majority of the time also goes down to not just what you're listening to in your car, on Audible, what you put in your face and read. It's also who you marry.
Ooh.
And the person that you marry is the selection of level of how you want to live.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be times in life that you will think that your wants is what you get, and that is absolutely not true. If you just graduated high school, if you're just going into college or whatever age you are, if you're single, your wants are not going to be attracted to you. Your R's are. What you are is how you're going to attract. Every single year, me and my wife, we live by something called the Crown Code, which is what I invented. We'll put together a book on it right now, but it's all F's, 6 F's in family, or in faith first, whatever that is, if that's a deity or if that's self-faith. I think it's both. I think it can be definitely both. Family, fitness, that's mental and physical fitness, finances, fun and fulfillment. And we put our goals along these, and then we have some gnarly negotiations during the year.
Love that.
Of what that looks like.
Yeah.
We have some gnarly sit-down negotiations of how we want to stretch. We have some gnarly situations of how we want to see each other throughout the year and on into the next years. With 100% understanding, and this is what I'm going to talk about this weekend, and this is what will be in my documentary that will come out in about a year.
Awesome.
Writing a book, too, that will launch with that, so that'll be fun. But we have 100% understanding, just like Ed Milet said, that parents are neglecting their kids. And it's a form of self-neglect, which in my mind also says self-abuse or child abuse in a different way. Self-neglect, or child abuse, child neglect. And that's parents not living their dreams. And when I heard that, whoo, Cody, my heart was pounding, bro. I was like peeing in my man diaper for a different reason. I'm like, what is going on? My kids are watching me and they're listening to me, but they do what they see, not always what they hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as we understand that, and as we understand that we attract who we are, we will live our crown code in a totally different way. If we want someone with a six-pack, well, you better dang well have a six-pack. Not that that's always how it is, but it's more than likely. If you want someone who's financially intelligent, they're probably not going to get attracted to someone with a whole bunch of stupid debt, right? If you want something that has an incredible faith in themselves and whatever deity they choose, then you better have that same thing, right? Yeah. And then if you want someone that's just a light that just lights up the room, then you probably better be someone who does something similar. And we attract who we are. We magnetically do that by default. And our kids don't know any different. They see what they see, and that becomes the reality. I adopted kids. They all came really quick, so I didn't have time to prep. And it was the most scary thing for me, but also the most incredible. Because I now had a team looking at me, and I now had more of a why than ever to build. I mean, I imagine that's how it is with Hero. That's like a family beyond family, right? I love what you said. Like, if I'm sitting here in a recruiting status, right, in a recruiting state in my life, and I come to the person who's built the company, I come to the person who has direction over the company and the vision of the company, and then they say, listen, I'm giving a lot of equity away, and then you said a very cool sentence after that. And there's a timeline, meaning they have a finish, and then you said something that was really cool. and I will work relentlessly until we accomplish that. That was really cool.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Loved everything that you said. I want to go back to the high school thing, the math. It's just funny. It makes me think of a story. So I guess this could be if we have really young listeners, but also if you're a parent, to have the type of relationship with your kids that they feel really safe talking to you. I'm very proud to say I have a great relationship with my boys, 14 and 11. We talk about all things, man, all things. We're talking about masturbation right now regularly, which for some could be so taboo and weird, but it's not. It doesn't have to be. We normalize it. It's kind of give you an idea. It's actually a fun topic. It's a healthy topic, so I don't think people know how to talk about it with their kids. Yeah. But anyway.
Because they're going to hear it either way.
Oh, yeah.
It's way better to hear it from you.
Yeah, yes, definitely. And he comes up to me the other day. He's like, "Hey, Dad, I have a proposal for you." And I was like, "I'm all ears. I like this already. What's the proposal?" He said, "In history, I have to read a book. It's almost 300 pages on World War II. Some of the things Germany did and Hitler, and then I have to write a pretty long essay on it. And my proposal, well, first of all, I feel like I know enough about World War II. And my proposal is that you let me use ChatGPT-4 to write it for me, because ChatGPT-4 will hide all of the plagiarism and stuff like that. It's the paid version." I was like, So he's trying to get out of reading the whole book and writing it. And then I said, "In exchange for what?" And he said, "I'll read 2 personal development books that you want, anyone that you want." And I was like, "Deal. Done." So it's interesting though, as a parent, it's like, do I let him cut the corner? No, you have to write that. Or do I let him, like, this is not going to help you in your life. Like, he's crazy. We know that. Genocide, like it was crazy, but they've taught that for 50 years. But if you read these 2 books and you write a report on them to me and you tell me 5 key takeaways and the 2 things that you're going to work on in your life that mean the most, I think it will help you more. And he said, "I do too. That's why it's my proposal." And I was like, "I love that. It's great, buddy."
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What if the proposal didn't include the 2 books? And what if it was just, can I use the resource of ChatGPT?
No.
How come?
Oh, that's an interesting one, right? So
because I disagree with you.
Because in school, it's like, do the work, put in the effort. Yeah. In his case, I think it's this is probably a deep conversation. In his case, he's a straight A 4.0 student. He doesn't miss anything. He's
well, the fact is, this 11 or 14-year-old?
He's a 14-year-old.
He comes to me, he's like, "Let me propose something."
So we have our first board meeting at Hero on Monday, and the guys in the room, their combined net worth is crazy. It's hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And so I'm pulling him out of school to listen. And then I sent him a text that said, "I'm 14 years old. I've been invited to attend an advisory board meeting with these people, and I explained everything for this company. How should I prepare?" And then it wrote this giant thing for him, how to prepare, and I texted it to him. It's awesome. I could read you the whole thing.
I love it.
I sent him the other day, like, "I'm 14. I want to be a millionaire before I'm 20. What should I do?" This is him though. Like he loves stuff like that. He'll soak it up. So even if he needed to do the assignment, he's the kid that would skim through the book and write the report in 3 hours on his computer and get an A. So it's just him. I'm not telling parents, like, it's not okay to do that. Make sure that your kids are actually he puts in the effort.
But let's take away like all the listeners. Let's talk just between us.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm saying. Education is so whacked.
Yeah.
Today, it's unreal.
Yeah.
If I were to teach a school, here's what I would do. Take all your TI 87, 84, take all that crap and throw it away.
Yeah.
Come to me with your iPhone, or whatever phone you have, and we're running math.
Yeah.
We're running problems. I'm going to teach you how to keep finances.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach you how to do spreadsheets and anything relative within that. And I think those are even going away. I'm going to teach you how to run Chat GPT down like you have 100 employees that you don't have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and this is where I said I think differently. And I think I hope people are listening, because I think the world is about to change and we are in trouble if we don't have youth understanding how to use resources.
Mm-hmm.
The moment kids know how to use resources for their benefit, they gain life.
Yeah.
And so what kids don't have the opportunity to do is resources. For an example, Chat GPT, I could write one book and not use Chat GPT, one book for kids, and not use Chat GPT and do all the art and do all this stuff. Or I could use Chat GPT for all the art and write 5 books this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so if these kids don't understand using resources, if they don't understand, like brilliant kid at 14 even to propose and ask that.
Right. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden he covered this, he covered this, he covered this, he covered this. When you go to the biggest meetings in the country, in the world, to your board meetings, I pray that the answers aren't always, yeah, let me see what I can do to like get that report. No, it's not who, you've heard that, it's how.
Mm-hmm.
How to get it done.
Yeah.
And the moment we become, and this is one of the things I've learned the most growing. I'm 40 years old. I feel like I'm a rookie in life.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm barely learning how to live, because my word for this year is intentional. And the intention is to gain life back by using resources as much as I can to be able to come to things like this, to be able to do podcasts, to be able to content create. I believe God created me to have freedom of speech, of influence. And if I don't use the influence that He's created, that men has created, of technology, I think we're lost.
Yeah. Doing yourself a disservice to others for not sharing it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We very much leverage it. And even inside the company, it's a constant. It's in everything. It's in the relationships and showing up as a husband. It's in conversations. So I love the technology piece. Well, Ben, man, I could talk to you for 4 hours on this stuff, because it's like,
I love this, dude.
Talk about, there's so much passion there.
Such
and so many
stuff.
topics of being a husband and being a dad and business and passion and grit and determination. But I know the stuff today, we got some gold nuggets. I always talk to our team and even my boys. If you read a book, and just a couple of gold nuggets. If you hear a public speaker, you're not going to digest and absorb everything. Just a couple of golden nuggets, you know? That's what you're looking for. So today I know you shared like 6, 7 just golden pieces that I know will bring value to those watching or listening. So thank you so much, man. It was an honor to have you, and I loved spending time with you.
You're the man. I appreciate what you're doing, and keep allowing yourself and the others to live like heroes, brother. Appreciate you, man.
You can count on that. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on.